You open your eyes to a world that feels at once endless and suffocating. The air presses against your skin, warm, wet, and heavy with scents you can't name but instinctively understand. The sweetness of crushed grass, the rot of something long dead, the faint metallic tang of nearby water. This is not the world you know. This is the East African savanna 2 million years ago. A place where every sound could mean life or death. Your body is small, barely over a meter tall, wiry, with long arms and narrow shoulders. The dome of your skull is lower than that of those who will come after you. Your hands are strong enough to climb, but not yet nimble enough to weave rope or carve fine shapes. There is no language here, only the capacity for noise, grunts, clicks, and the occasional sharp cry when danger draws near. The grass rises to your knees, slick with morning dew, and each blade whispers against your bare skin as you move. Somewhere in the distance, a bird screams, a high, thin sound that cuts through the constant hum of insects. Closer, a low grunt makes the hair along your arms stand on end. You freeze. Your pulse hammers in your ears, and a thought, crude but urgent, takes shape. Don't die. You crouch, scanning the land. The trees here are massive, their roots twisting like great veins across the ground, their canopies blotting out the rising sun. They will one day be called acacias and baobabs, but to you they are simply shelter. From the sun, from eyes above, from the things that run faster than you. Your breath is slow now, controlled. You've learned that panic is loud, and loud things don't last long here. The land will one day be named, perhaps near Olduvai Gorge or Lake Turkana, and called the cradle of humanity. But to you, it is not a cradle. It is an arena. The earth is hard-packed underfoot, dust already clinging to your toes, and every movement is a gamble. Then it comes, that other smell, sour and heavy, one you know too well. Death. Fresh enough that the air around it still quivers with the echo of movement. Your stomach growls, but you stay rooted. Somewhere nearby, deep and slow, comes the sound of breathing. Predators eat first here. You do not interrupt. No one has taught you rules, but the land enforces them all the same. Wait your turn. Take what's left. Never look too long into the shadows. There is no fire, no stone-tipped spear, no shelter waiting beyond a bend in the path. The sun is at your back, the open grass ahead. You move forward anyway, not out of bravery, but because perhaps, or something worse. You crouch behind a rock, pressing your palm into warm dust. Without thinking, you drag a finger through it, leaving a crude mark. It means nothing, but something in you likes that it's there. A moment, claimed. Historians far in the future will name you Homo Habilis, handyman, for the tools you will one day make. But right now, the only thing you hold is the will to see another sunrise. You rise and keep moving. Hunger gnaws at your belly, but you step carefully. The ground here remembers. Every print, clawed, padded, or bare, tells a story. You pass a print too large to be yours. You pass bones scored with teeth marks that do not match your own. You pass stones older than memory, their edges catching the sun like the wink of a distant eye. This is survival, stripped bare. No plans, no comfort, only the rhythm of your steps, the taste of the wind, and the silent agreement you've made with the world. That you will keep going as long as it lets you. Hunger is a constant, Not a pang that comes and goes, but a slow, steady grinding inside your gut, a second heartbeat that never misses a beat. You've learned to listen to it the way you listen to the rustle of grass or the creak of branches, with caution. The land offers food, but not freely. You push aside leaves and scrape at the soil with your fingers until they're packed with grit. You find a pale root, stiff and fibrous. You bite into it, and it's like chewing on damp wood. The taste is bitter, the texture stringy. It will take an age to break down in your mouth, and even then your stomach will complain. But hunger doesn't care about taste. Hunger cares about weight in the belly. Now and then you find berries, small, hard, and unevenly colored. The red ones are tempting, but red can be danger. Your kind hasn't written any rules for survival, but trial and error has written them into your blood. You sniff, too sharp. You spit it out after a cautious bite, the sourness making your jaw tighten. Some things here kill slowly, others quickly. You've seen both. Off to the side, a scatter of bones lies in the grass, the leftovers of some predator's feast. Ribs gnawed almost clean, a skull cracked open for the brain. The smell is strong enough to sting your eyes, but there might still be scraps. You crouch low, scanning the horizon. If the killer is still near, you're the next course. In the distance, vultures circle lazily, their shadows sliding over the ground like black water. That's where the real food will be, but it's also where danger gathers. You've watched your own kind before, waiting for a predator to leave, then rushing in to strip the bones with stone flakes. It's a gamble. Sometimes you get meat. Sometimes you get chake. Nut-like kernels. They're hard, gritty against your teeth, but they fill the mouth with something that feels more solid than roots. You chew slowly, feeling each crunch send dust and sand against your gums. Already you can feel the soreness that will worsen with time, the dull ache of teeth ground down by a lifetime of eating earth along with food. This is the diet of survival. Bark scraped for sap, seeds crushed between your molars, the occasional insect plucked from under a stone. You remember the last time you found a carcass still fresh, the meat warm, the smell sharp and alive. You remember the rush to cut free a strip before the hyenas came. But that was days ago, and your belly is empty again. You catch another scent now. Faint, sweet, almost floral. Your body reacts before your mind forms the thought. You move toward it, parting the tall grass slowly. Sweet means sugar. Sugar means energy. But sweet also means bees sometimes. You've felt their sting before, hot, sudden, swelling. You weigh the risk. The sound of wings grows louder, and you stop. High in the crook of a tree, you see the dark, shifting mass of a hive. You can't reach it without climbing, and climbing means exposing yourself. You back away. The hunger stays, but so does the knowledge. Here, patience can keep you alive longer than boldness. You turn toward a cluster of rocks where shade might shelter something slower than you. You kneel, probe with a stick, and there it is, a pale grub, fat and twitching. You pop it into your mouth, feel it squirm, then crush it between your teeth. The taste is earthy, faintly nutty. Your stomach welcomes it. Your mind forgets it. Survival here isn't a feast or famine cycle. It's famine interrupted by mouthfuls of chance, and every step you take to fill your belly must also keep you breathing. By late afternoon, the air turns heavy and still, the heat pressing down until even the insects seem to quiet. This is the time when shadows stretch long and hunger gnaws the sharpest. Your eyes catch the shape you've been hoping for, a mound rising from the ground like the humped back of some sleeping beast. A termite mound. It towers higher than you, its walls baked hard by countless days under the sun. The smell is faint but familiar. Dry earth, dust, and the faint musk of countless tiny bodies inside. Termites are food that cannot run, food that does not fight back. But they are hidden, locked behind walls tougher than bone. You find a stick, stripping it with your teeth until the end tapers. You jam it into a narrow crack, twist and pull. A few white, writhing bodies cling to the wood. You slide them into your mouth. They burst between your teeth.
Relief to your belly. This is a feast by your standards. No chase, no fight, no risk of teeth in your flesh. You savor it. If savor is even the word for eating fast enough to keep the wind from stealing your prize. But feasts end, and the sun begins its slow drop toward the horizon. The air changes. Shadows deepen, the wind cools. The day's heat drains away faster than you'd like. Out here, the night does not welcome you. It tests you. You head toward the nearest tree, a great sprawling acacia with branches low enough for you to climb. You pull yourself up, gripping the rough bark until your arms ache. Higher still, until you find a fork strong enough to hold your weight. The smell of sap clings to your skin. Below, the grass sways with movements you cannot see. The predators begin their shift. You hear it first, the distant cough of a leopard, the low yipping of hyenas gathering. Somewhere closer, the steady plod of something heavy through the brush. The cold comes quickly. Without fire, there is no comfort, only your own arms wrapped tight around your chest. Your kind has no blankets, no clothes beyond scraps of skin draped in colder months. The wind slips through every gap, gnawing at you in ways hunger never could. You curl into yourself, trying to trap your own warmth. Above you, the stars push through the dark, cold and unblinking. You do not name them. They are simply there, like the hunger, like the danger. The night is long, but your body knows how to endure. You drift in and out of sleep, waking at every strange sound. A crack of a branch below, the rasp of something breathing, the slow, padded step of something that knows how to climb. You press yourself closer to the trunk, heart hammering, and wait for the sound to pass. Somewhere far away, a deep roar splits the night. The land answers with silence. Tomorrow will come. It always does. But tonight, you are small. You are cold. And you are still alive. And in this world, that is victory enough. The season shifts, though there is no calendar to mark it. The air grows drier, the rains come late, falling in short, grudging bursts that vanish into the soil before the roots can drink. The once green grasses turn brittle and brown, whispering in the wind like paper. Water holes shrink into muddy pits, their surfaces skinned over with algae. You walk farther each day in search of food, your feet tracing paths worn by generations before you. The land feels emptier now. Fewer tracks, fewer calls in the distance. Animals that once grazed nearby have moved on, chasing some invisible promise of water and fresh grass. Even the vultures seem slower to appear, as if carrion itself has grown scarce. The hunger is different until your jaw aches, swallowing not for taste, but for the hope of a little strength. One day, near a dried riverbed, you find the scat of a large herbivore. It is fresh, still warm. You hesitate only a moment before breaking it apart with your hands. Inside are bits of half-digested seeds and fibers. Your stomach turns, but your hunger is stronger. You pick out what you can, forcing yourself to swallow. It is not shameful here. It is survival. The wind carries new scents now, cold scents. On some mornings, the horizon glitters faintly, not with water, but with ice clinging to distant ridges. The air is sharper, slicing into your lungs.
The world is shifting into something colder, harsher. The elders of your kind do not speak of it because there is no speech, but their movements tell the story. Longer walks, longer silences, more watching than eating. One afternoon you spot movement far ahead, a cluster of shapes against the fading grass. You drop low, heart quickening. Antelopes. They are thin, their ribs showing through their hides, but they are alive, and where there are antelopes, there is hope of scavenging. You trail them from a distance, careful to keep the wind in your face. Their path leads toward a patch of thorn trees. You stop when you see it. The unmistakable slink of a predator in the shadows. A cat, large and heavy-shouldered, its coat marked with faint ghost stripes. Megan Tyrion. You know its kind. You have seen the crushed bones it leaves behind. You stay hidden, crouched low in the brittle grass. Your breath is slow. The antelopes edge closer to the trees, unaware. The cat shifts its weight, and then a blur, a cry, a flurry of dust. The kill is quick. You wait. You will wait for hours if you must. When the cat feeds and leaves, you will take what remains. That is the role your kind has here. Not the hunter, not yet, but the one who comes after, the one who endures. The sun dips lower, painting the dry world in red and gold. You shiver, though the air has not yet cooled. The cold is coming, not just for the night, but for years. And you will have to decide whether to move with it or be buried under it. The grass moves when the wind does not. It's a small thing at first, a ripple that doesn't match the air, a shiver in the brittle stems 20 paces ahead. You stop. Every sense sharpens. Your ears catch the faintest sound, the slow push of something heavy against the earth, the deliberate placing of each foot. Predators know how to be silent. The silence is the warning. You sink lower, knees pressed into the dust, eyes scanning. The shape is there, a patch of shadow that is not a shadow at all, its edges shifting. Between you tastes of old blood and dry grass. You know its method. It will not chase far. It will wait and then explode forward when you're close enough. You step back slowly, weight on the balls of your feet, keeping the grass between you. The cat doesn't follow. It doesn't need to. The way it watches you says everything. This is its ground, and you are not worth the trouble. Yet. A sound breaks behind you, not the cat, but a different danger, the laugh bark of hyenas, closer than you thought. You turn and see them cresting the ridge, a loose pack, their mottled coats catching the light. They've scented you. You don't think. You move. Your feet slap against the earth, weaving between tufts of grass and jagged stones. The hyenas follow, their voices rising into high, manic cackles. They are not graceful like the cat. They are persistence given teeth. Ahead, a tree, tall, sparse-limbed, but climbable. You run harder, lungs burning, the ground seeming to tilt under you. The first hyena closes fast, its breath hot against your heels. You leap, fingers scrabbling at bark, and pull yourself up with every ounce of strength in your arms. Teeth snap shut where your foot was a moment before. The sound is loud, final. You haul yourself higher until you are beyond their reach. Below, they circle, pacing, eyes fixed on you. Their jaws click open and shut as if testing the space between your ribs. You cling to the trunk, chest heaving. From this height, you can see the cat still in the grass, watching, unhurried. It will wait for the hyenas to leave, then take whatever is left of the antelope, or of you if you fall. The message is clear. Here, you are never alone, and never safe. The cat is gone. It left without sound, as predators do when they've had their fill. The grass still bears its imprint, the flattened stems where its body lay, the dark splash of blood where the antelope fell. You wait longer than you want to. Patience is the only shield you have here. Your eyes never leave the kill site, scanning for the twitch of an ear, the shift of a shadow. The hyenas have moved on, but they will return if they hear you. Finally, you move. The air grows thick with the smell before you even see the body. Hot copper, wet hide, and the sour stink of torn gut. The antelope lies twisted, its throat ripped wide. Flies swarm in a dark cloud over the wound, their bodies drumming against your skin. You kneel and pull the stone from your side pouch. Sharp-edged, flaked from river rock, it fits into your palm like it belongs there. Your kind has used tools like this for longer than memory, the first step toward taking what teeth alone could not. You cut fast, sawing through the thin layer of skin, pulling back the hide to expose the meat. It's warm, still holding the sun and the light hard. The taste is rich, iron-heavy, nothing like the roots and seeds that have filled your belly for days. Fat coats your tongue, and for a moment, everything else falls away. But moments here are expensive. A sound pricks your ears, faint but wrong. Not the wind, not insects. A low, rising whoop. Hyenas. You don't look up. You cut faster, hands slick, stone biting into flesh. Another strip, another. You scoop up what you can carry, stuffing it into a fold of hide, the blood running down your wrists. The whoop becomes a chorus now, closer, eager. You rise, clutching your prize, and run. The grass parts around you in frantic bursts, your legs pumping, lungs straining. The meat is heavy in your arms, but you do not drop it. The tree comes into view, your same refuge from before. You scramble up, heart thundering, until you're high enough to see the hyenas spill into the clearing. They descend on the carcass, snapping and snarling, fighting over scraps you left behind. You press your back against the trunk, breath coming in ragged bursts. Below, they feast. Above, you eat too, tearing into a strip of meat with blood still warm. In this world, you are not predator. Not yet. You are what comes after. You smell them before you see them. It's not the musk of predators or the sour tang of carrion. It's a scent closer to your own. Sweat baked into skin, the faint animal fat grease that lingers after a kill. You freeze, crouched in the grass. Movement ahead. 3 figures emerge from behind a fallen tree. They walk upright, like you, their arms swinging in a rhythm that feels familiar. Their heads turn quickly, scanning in short bursts, eyes always moving. Each carries something, a length of bone, a stone, a strip of dried hide. Your chest tightens. You have seen others before, but from far away. Sometimes they ignore you. Sometimes they do not. One of them spots you. The reaction is immediate. They stop, shoulders squared, feet planted. The tallest tilts its head, eyes narrowing. A sound comes from its throat, not quite a growl, not quite a call. The other 2 spread out slightly, not closing the distance, but making sure they are not in each other's way. Your hand drifts to the pouch at your side where your stone tool rests. You do not draw it. The tall one takes a step forward, not aggressive, but deliberate. Another sound, shorter this time. A pause, then it holds something up. A strip of meat, dried and dark. You stay still. Hunger claws at your belly, but you know the danger. Food is never free here. Another step forward. The meat is tossed, landing in the grass between you. The tall one's eyes stay on yours. You understand the offer, not words, but meaning. Take, and maybe we share this ground. Refuse. Enough for them to hear. The tallest makes a short, barking sound, not unfriendly. The group moves on, leaving you behind. But one of them glances back once, a quick flicker of eye contact before the grass swallows them. For a moment, you feel the pull, the thought of following, of being among your own kind. More eyes to watch the grass, more hands to strip a carcass. But you've also seen the other side. Fights that start over scraps, blows that fall without warning, the weak pushed out into the dark. You stay where you are, chewing slowly until the sound of their movement is gone. In this place, even those who look like you can kill you just as easily as the ones with claws. It begins with a twist in your belly. Not hunger. You know that feeling too well to mistake it. This is sharper, deeper, as if something inside you is clenched into a fist and won't let go. You try to ignore it, pushing on through the dry grass in search of food, but your legs feel heavy. Each step makes your stomach lurch. By midday, the heat presses harder, and sweat pours from your skin, though the air is not as hot as before. Your mouth tastes wrong, sour, metallic. The thought of eating makes your throat tighten, yet your gut growls in confusion. You drink from a shallow pool, the water green with algae, too thirsty to care. Hours later, you understand the mistake. The cramps come in waves, folding you to the ground. Your vision blurs and the earth tilts. Somewhere in your mind, the image of the water flashes, the muddy edges, the faint smell of decay. Something in it is eating at you from the inside. You know nothing of sickness the way those far in the future will. You do not know about invisible things, only that certain smells mean danger, certain tastes mean death. You crawl to the shade of a thorn tree and curl into yourself, shivering though the air is warm. Days pass in a haze. You wake, drink, vomit, sleep. You sweat until your skin feels dry as bark. At times, you think you hear movement nearby, the soft pad of feet, the crack of twigs, but you are too weak to climb, too weak to run. If death comes, you will not stop it. Instinct takes over where thought fails. You chew bitter leaves you once saw an elder chew after eating bad meat. The taste is foul, your tongue recoiling, but you force it down. You find clay near the riverbank and press a lump to your lips. The cool grit coats your mouth, soothing the burn in your throat. You swallow. Little by little, the cramps ease. The thirst remains, but your strength returns enough to stand. You move slowly, your ribs sharp under your skin, the world feeling lighter in a way that is not good. By the fourth sunrise, you can walk without falling. The memory of the sickness stays in your body.
Water you drink, and they kill without a sound. The land teaches you something new, not through words, but through exhaustion. Wandering keeps you alive, but it also wears you down. Every day you walk until your legs ache, only to find less food than the day before. The sickness left you lighter, slower. You cannot cover as much ground. One afternoon, you find a bend in a stream where the water runs clear over smooth stones. The banks are soft with mud, and the trees here are thick enough to give shade. You drink, cautious now, tasting for the faint sweetness of clean water. No smell of rot, no dead fish drifting in the shallows. You rest here for the day, then for the night. The next morning you notice something strange. In the patch of dirt where you dropped seeds days before, the hard, bitter kernels from a foraged pod, tiny green shoots have pushed through. They stand upright, reaching for the light. You don't think of planting, not in the way the far future will, but you understand this. The seeds stayed, and now there is food growing here without you chasing it. The stream offers fish if you are patient enough to strike with a stick. The trees drop nuts when the wind is strong. The ground nearby hides tubers you can dig with a sharpened bone. For the first time, you do not feel the need to move on immediately. You build a rough nest of branches between two roots, high enough to keep the ground's dampness away. At night, you climb, but not far, just enough to see the stars through the leaves and feel safe from prowlers. Days pass. Your muscles grow back slowly. You eat without walking half the world to do it. You start leaving small piles of cracked seeds near the shoots, watching to see if more will sprout. Sometimes they do.
Sometimes the birds take them. But the idea, if it can be called that, stays with you. Food can wait for you here. Other habilis pass through. Some take from the stream. One steals a handful of the green shoots and vanishes into the grass. You chase but stop when you realize there's more you can grow. You do not know the word home, but your feet have learned the path to this place so well they could walk it even in darkness. The world is still dangerous. Predators still roam. The seasons will still change. But for now, for the first time, the ground feels like it belongs to you. The path of the stream leads you to it. And first, you smell it. Smoke, thick and sharp in the back of your throat. Not the sharp flash of lightning-struck grass, but a slower burn mixed with the scent of meat and fat. Then you hear the low hum of voices, not words, but the sound of many throats working together, rising and falling in uneven rhythm. You step into a clearing and see them. Dozens of shelters crowd the ground, shaped from branches and hides stretched over frames. The air is dense with movement, children weaving between legs, women scraping hides, men trampled bare. Littered with broken shells, bones, and ash. The sight pulls at you. You remember the three you met before, the meat they offered, the feeling of being watched by others like you. Here, there are so many eyes that danger would be seen before it reaches you. The thought is tempting, but safety here has a cost. The smoke that hangs in the air burns your eyes, and the flies are everywhere, crawling on meat, on faces, on hands. Waste piles sit too close to the stream. The smell of rot seeps into the water. You watch a child dip a hand into the muddy edge, drink, then run, laughing back to play. You move among them slowly, keeping your body loose, non-threatening. Some glance at you without interest. Others watch with the flat gaze of those measuring whether you are worth knowing or worth driving out. A woman tosses you a strip of dried meat. You take it, nod. A man offers a space near his fire for the night. You accept. The warmth feels good against your skin, but the ground is hard and the coughing of the others keeps you awake. In the days that follow, you see the pattern. Here, food is shared, but only so far. Arguments flare over a choice cut of meat or the biggest hide. Small groups form within the larger one, watching each other with quiet suspicion. At night, when the air cools, the village comes alive with the sound of hacking coughs, moans from those doubled over with fever. The sickness moves fast here, passing from one to another in days. There is no running from it. You think of the stream bend, the green shoots pushing from the soil, the quiet. This place has more eyes to watch for predators, but it also has more mouths to feed, more hands to take, more bodies to carry disease. By the fourth night, you have decided. You will leave before sunrise. The village will go on without you, and you will go on without it. The seasons pass, and with them, the shape of the world changes. Stone gives way to bronze, tools sharper, stronger, and more numerous than anything your kind once held. People gather in greater numbers now, not in scattered huts, but in sprawling settlements, walls of mud brick and timber rising against the horizon. And with these walls comes a new smell. It is everywhere, in the narrow streets, in the shaded courtyards, clinging to your hair and skin. Not the wild, open scent of grass and rain, but the press of bodies, the smoke of countless cooking fires, the musk of animals penned inside the city. Beneath it all lies something darker. Waste, blood, and the rot of food left too long in the sun. People here try to hide it. Women crush herbs between smooth stones, mixing the paste with oil and rubbing it into their hair. Men smear fat on their skin, then dust it with stacked with jars of resin and bundles of dried leaves.
Incense burns in clay pots, its smoke curling upward in blue threads, meant to please the gods and keep away flies. But the flies come anyway, drawn to the heaps of fish, to the hanging cuts of meat. You learn the rhythms of this place, when the refuse is thrown into the streets, when the gutters run thick with it, when the night air grows sharp from the fires lit to drive away biting insects. Lice crawl in the seams of your clothing, and you pick them out with the same bone comb everyone else uses. Here, no one is free from the smell of civilization. It is the price of living close, of sharing walls and food and danger. The wild was harsh, but it carried the scent of wind, of rain, of clean earth after the storm. Here, the air itself feels heavy, as though it remembers everything that has happened within these walls, and it never lets you forget it. In the city, work is life. And if you are new, unknown, and without family ties, the work given to you is the kind no one else will take. At first you carry water, buckets sloshing against your legs, the straps biting into your shoulders. From the river to the houses, from the houses to the market stalls, all day, every day. The water is never clean. It clouds with silt, smells faintly of fish and rot, but people pay for it anyway. They drink it, cook with it, wash their children in it. When the water carriers have enough hands, you're sent to the tanners. The stench there is so strong it clings to your skin for days. Hides soak in pits filled with ash, dung, and urine, softening for scraping. Your hands burn from the lime. Your nails go ragged and black. No one lingers near you at the end of the day. Other times you sweep the streets, pushing refuse into the gutters with a bundle of reeds, watching it drift toward the lower quarters where it will collect until the rains come. Some nights you help shovel out the public latrines, the waste hauled beyond the walls and dumped into pits where nothing grows. It is work that bends your back and stains your skin, but it also earns you something more valuable than the coins they press into your hand. Invisibility. The wealthy do not see you. The guards barely glance at you. You can pass anywhere in the city without question, because no one looks twice at the one doing the filthiest work. Sometimes, when the day ends and the streets are quiet, you walk past the palace gates. You see the guards in polished bronze, the merchants in clean linen, the priestesses perfumed with oils. They pass you as if you are part of the street itself. And in that, there is a strange pride. You know the city's underbelly better than they ever will. First, like distant thunder rolling through the streets. Then, the sharper sounds. Voices raised, feet pounding against stone, the clang of something metal striking metal. The noise pulls you toward the city's central square, carried along by the press of others moving in the same direction. And then you see it. The crowd is vast, more people in one place than you've ever imagined. The square heaves with bodies, shoulder to shoulder, skin slick with sweat in the afternoon heat. The air is thick with smells, roasted meat from vendors' skewers, incense smoke drifting from a priest's brazier, the tang of unwashed skin and open drains beneath it all. Above them all rises a wooden platform. Men in bright-dyed tunics stand atop it, their arms cutting the air as they shout. You can't hear their words clearly. Too much noise, too many voices shouting back, but the rhythm of their speech grips the crowd like a rope. Each pause draws in breath, each surge of sound pushes it out again. You find yourself pressed between a woman carrying a child on her hip and a young man balancing a basket on his head. Neither looks at you. Their eyes are fixed forward as if the platform holds the answer to something they've been waiting for all their lives. Vendors shove through the crush, offering water, wine, strips of dried fruit.
A pickpocket's hand brushes your belt, gone before you can turn. Somewhere nearby, someone is singing, their voice high and thin, trying to be heard over the roar. The longer you stand there, the more you feel the danger. A crowd this big moves like water. One push and you're swept wherever it goes, whether you want to or not. If someone falls, they don't get up again. If panic starts, it spreads faster than fire. And yet, there is something powerful in it. Alone, you are nothing. Here, you are part of something that makes the air tremble. You feel the ground itself seem to shift under the weight of so many feet. When the shouting swells to a peak, you slip away down a side street, ears still ringing, the press of bodies still heavy on your skin. You've survived wild predators, hunger, and sickness, but this is something new. A different kind of danger. One that doesn't need claws or teeth. Only enough people in one place. Day drains slowly from the city, the sun sliding behind the mud brick walls and leaving the streets wrapped in a deepening blue. Shops close one by one. Wooden shutters slam, bolts slide into place. The cries of vendors fade, replaced by the dull thud of doors shutting tight. Only the taverns and brothels keep their lamps burning, pools of warm light spilling into the street. You walk slowly, feeling the change. By day, the streets belong to everyone. Children darting between carts, traders haggling, means trouble. Shadows stretch long between the oil lamps. In some quarters, there are no lamps at all, just the faint glimmer of moonlight on wet cobbles. Here, the smell shifts. Less bread and spice, more smoke, sweat, and the metallic tang of blood from the day's slaughterhouses. You pass a group huddled in a doorway, their laughter too loud for the hour. A drunk stumbles out from a tavern, pisses against the wall without looking up, then disappears down an alley where even the moonlight doesn't reach. Somewhere in the dark, a dog snarls and something smaller yelps in pain. The city watch patrols in pairs, their bronze-tipped spears glinting as they pass. They glance at you, but keep walking. They know as well as you do. Trouble after dark is rarely worth chasing unless it spills into the main streets. In one open square, a fire burns low in a brazier. A small crowd gathers around a man telling stories, his voice carrying in the still air. He speaks of kings and wars, of gods who walk among men. The listeners lean in, faces lit by the shifting orange glow. For a moment, the night feels warm, almost safe. But when you leave the square, the darkness folds over you again. You quicken your pace. The walls here seem closer, the shadows heavier. You keep one hand near the stone tucked in your belt, your eyes shifting between the way ahead and what follows behind. By day, the city feels alive. By night, it feels like it's watching you. And it never blinks. It begins with the sound of horns, long, low notes rolling over the rooftops, shaking you from sleep before dawn. At first you think it is a festival. The city often wakes early for parades or rituals. But then the voices come. Not singing. Shouting. Urgent. Afraid. When you reach the street, people are running toward the gates. Some carry spears or axes, others bundles of food and water. Children cry. The air is sharp with the smell of smoke, not cooking smoke, but the thick, choking kind that comes when houses burn. You push toward the noise, past the market square until the walls rise ahead. From the battlements, archers lean out, loosing shafts into the haze. Beyond the gate, the land shimmers with heat and movement. A line of men advancing in tight formation, shields locked, spears bristling. The invaders are not strangers. You've seen them in the market before, trading salted fish for grain. But trade has ended, and something else has taken its place. The gate shakes as the first rams strike it. Wood splinters, arrows hiss overhead. A man beside you drops, an arrow sprouting from his throat. His blood spreads in a bright fan across the dust. Someone shoves a spear into your hands. No words, no instructions, just the weight of it, heavy and solid. You follow the others up the steps to the wall. The heat is worse here, the sun climbing fast. You see the enemy's faces now, painted, gray.
Midday. They pour through, and the fighting turns to chaos. Shields crash, spears snap, blades flash in the narrow streets. The smell of blood and sweat and dust fills your lungs. You swing wildly, more to keep space around you than to strike. A man lunges at you, his bronze blade catching the sun. You block without thinking, the shock running up your arm. He stumbles, and someone else drives a spear into his back. You don't see his face when he falls, only the dark pool spreading beneath him. By nightfall, the invaders are gone, driven out or dead. The gates are shut again. Fires still burn in the lower quarter. Bodies lie where they fell, some already picked at by dogs. The city celebrates, but the cheer feels hollow. You know what you've seen, not a victory, but a warning. War is not something that comes from the wild. It grows here, behind walls, among people, and it always comes back. The morning after the battle, the market smells different. Not of bread baking or herbs drying in the sun, but of blood gone thick, of bronze gone green with sweat, of the faint sweetness of meat just beginning to turn. The traders have already arrived. They move through the streets with carts and baskets, stepping over the dark stains on the stones. Some carry knives, others hooks. They do not look at the faces of the dead, only at what the dead can give. Armor is stripped first, pried from stiff limbs and piled high. Bronze buckles, leather straps, bits of chain, all fetched at a good price if cleaned and mended. Then the weapons. Spears with cracked shafts, bent blades, arrows still lodged in ribs. Nothing here is wasted. Next come the smaller things. Belts, sandals, bone combs, beads carved from shell. Trinkets are pulled from pouches, coins from clenched fists. Rings are twisted from fingers. If they don't come free, the finger comes with them. You watch one trader haggle over the price of a helmet while the soldier who wore it still lies at his feet. Even the bodies have value. Outside the gates, a row of shallow pits waits. Some corpses will be burned, their ash offered to the gods. Others will be buried quick before the heat swells them too far. But a few are taken elsewhere, wrapped in hides and loaded onto carts bound for places you've never seen. You hear whispers. Healers who grind bones into powder, smiths who boil fat for oil, farmers who swear human ash makes fields fertile. In the square, a stall displays scavenged gear beside fresh vegetables, as if they're no different. The child tries on a dead man's helmet, laughing as it slips down over his eyes. You remember the battle, the noise, the chaos, and realize that, for some, war is not an ending. It is a season, a harvest. And the market never closes. The city is still repairing itself when you decide to leave. Walls patched with fret, with the battle lingers in every glance, every hurried step. You've carried water, scraped hides, swung a spear. You've seen what the city gives and what it takes. Now your eyes turn to the road, the one that runs beyond the gates, past the farmlands, into the low hills where the horizon blurs into haze. At dawn, the gates creak open for the traders. Carts groan under sacks of grain, amphorae of oil, bundles of dyed cloth. Donkeys bray, their hooves striking sparks from the stones. The smell of the road is different, dust and hay, tar and sweat, the faint salt of goods from the sea. You join a caravan heading east, no questions asked. They need another pair of hands to lift, push, guard. You carry your bundle of possessions, a water skin, a knife, the pouch of beads you've traded for over the years. The first days are easy. Wide roads flanked by fields, the scent of onions and barley thick in the air. Farmers wave as you pass. Children run alongside the carts until their mothers call them back. But the land changes.
Fields give way to scrub, then to bare rock. Water grows scarce. The caravan halts only at places the leaders know, a half-buried cistern, a spring trickling from the base of a cliff. At night you camp in circles, carts forming a barrier against whatever prowls in the dark. You hear jackals calling, sometimes closer than you'd like. Traders speak in low voices about raiders who strip a caravan faster than jackals strip a carcass. One night you wake to the sound of something moving just beyond the firelight. A shadow against the stars, there and gone. You grip your knife and wait, listening to the slow, steady steps fading into the hills. Days stretch into weeks. The road is no longer just a path between cities. It is its own world, with its own dangers and rules. Here there are no walls to hide behind, no market to disappear into. Only the dust, the horizon, and the knowledge that anything can be waiting just ahead. The road ends in dust, but the dust is alive. It swirls between low sun-bleached buildings huddled along a crooked street. Flags and cloth strips hang overhead, snapping in the wind, their colors faded from years of sand and sun. Voices rise from every doorway, some speaking your tongue, others in sharp, quick syllables you've never heard before. This is the border town. It doesn't belong to one land or another. It belongs to whoever can hold it this season. Traders call it a meeting place, but the truth is simpler. It's a place where people come to get what they can't get at home, legal or not. The market smells like salt, goat fat, and spice. Tables overflow with copper ingots, glazed pots, bundles of dried herbs, and weapons so new the bronze still gleams. Men in heavy wool cloaks sell wool itself, bales stacked high beside merchants offering silk so fine it slides through your fingers like water. The streets have a doorway. A woman selling figs follows you with her gaze even as she calls to customers. Groups huddle in corners, speaking too softly to hear, exchanging something small for something smaller still. By night, the town changes. Lamps flare in the taverns, music spills from the upper rooms, drunken laughter rolls down the alleys, chased by the muffled sounds of fists on flesh. The guards, if you can call them that, collect coin from both sides of a fight, then turn away. You find work easily, carrying loads from caravan to stall, watching a merchant's table while he talks business in the back room, delivering sealed clay jars to places you are told not to ask about. The coin is good, and the questions few. But the danger here is not the kind that comes with teeth and claws. It's the kind that smiles when it lies to you. Deals are struck in whispers, and those who cheat are found later in the river, faces gone. Some nights you lie awake in the small rented room above a wine shop, listening to the mix of music, shouting, and distant screams. The border town never truly sleeps. It waits, restless, for the next caravan, the next deal, the next war. And you wonder if you've stepped into a place that no road can really leave. It starts with a question no one answers. A merchant in a black-dyed cloak comes to the border town square at dawn. He doesn't shout his offer, doesn't wave coin, just speaks to a few men in low tones, then waits. One by one, they shake their heads and walk away. You're curious. You step closer. He needs porters, he says. Strong enough to carry a load for 5 days' journey east. Pay is triple the usual rate. But there's a pause before he adds, you will not open the cargo, not look inside, not ask questions. The few who linger turn their backs after hearing this. Some spit. One mutters a word you've heard only in campfire tales. Cursed. You take the job. The cargo is loaded at night, away from the market lights. Long wooden crates, each bound with iron bands and sealed with thick pitch. They're heavier than they look and cold to the touch despite the warm air. You feel the chill through your palms. The caravan moves fast, avoiding villages and keeping fires low. At night, the wind carries sounds that aren't quite the cry of animals. Some say it's just the wood creaking. Others don't speak at all. On the third night, a crate slips from its bindings during a steep descent. It cracks against a rock, the sound sharp as a snapped bone. Something inside shifts. Everyone stops. The merchant hurries forward, face pale in the moonlight. He orders the crate lashed tighter, his voice breaking for the first time. No one argues. By the fifth day, your skin itches with unease.
Camp for comfort. When you finally reach the destination, it isn't a market or a city. It's a ruined fort, its walls crumbling into the sand. The merchant pays you quickly, eyes darting to the shadows of the old gate. Men in heavy cloaks emerge from within, their faces covered, and begin carrying the crates inside. You don't wait to see what's inside. But days later, back in the border town, you hear the story. An old fort far east where the dead were buried upright in the walls, their mouths filled with stones so their whispers couldn't escape. And you remember the cold through the wood. It doesn't arrive all at once. The first sign is the river. Its banks, once slick with mud, begin to harden and crack. The current slows until fish can be caught by hand, their bodies weak and gasping in the shallows. Traders mutter about a bad season, but still pack their carts as always. Then the wells start to fail. Water drawn at dawn turns cloudy by midday, tasting of dust and rust. Buckets come up lighter, the rope scraping against the sides where the water line has fallen. Women argue at the cisterns, voices sharp, hands tight on the handles of their jars. Weeks pass and the sky turns hard and pale. Clouds appear but give nothing. The wind changes, coming hot from the south, carrying grit that stings the skin and dries the tongue. The air smells faintly of scorched grass, though nothing burns. Caravans thin out. Some don't return at all. The border town's market shrinks, fewer piles of dates, fewer bundles of wool, meat only in small cuts at prices that make buyers hesitate. Traders talk less of profit and more of survival. Animals feel it too. Goats wander the streets, ribs showing. Dogs turn mean, fighting over scraps. At night, jackals come closer, their cries echoing from within the outer alleys. The worst change is in the people. Neighbors stop sharing, eyes narrow at the sight of a full water skin. Coins mean less than a mouthful of clear water. Old friendships vanish under the weight of thirst. You work where you can, hauling jars for those who can still pay, digging deeper pits in the hope of striking a new spring. Some days you earn a drink for your labor, others nothing at all. One evening, the merchant who hired you for the cursed caravan appears again. His cloak is thinner now, his eyes sharper. He offers a new job, a journey south, far into the desert, to a place where an old river still runs. He promises water enough to fill 100 skins, if you survive the trip. Looking around at the cracked earth, the dying animals, and the empty jars leaning in doorways, you realize the choice isn't whether to go. It's whether you can afford to stay. The desert begins where the road ends. No markers, no gates, just the slow fading of stone into dust and dust into sand. The wind here has teeth. It bites the skin, grinds grit between your teeth, sifts into black-cloaked merchant. 4 guards with sun-cracked shields, 3 other porters, and 6 camels loaded with water skins, sacks of grain, and bundles wrapped too tightly to guess at their contents. The animals grunt and spit, their breath already hot in the morning air. For the first 2 days you follow the shadow of low hills. The ground is hard, broken by patches of scrub that smell sharp when crushed. At night the sand holds the day's heat until well past moonrise, and you lie awake listening to it breathe out into the dark. On the 3rd day the hills vanish and the world becomes flat. The horizon is a blade of light cutting sky from earth. The sun no longer rises, it simply appears, burning without mercy. Water is rationed. 3 swallows at dawn, 3 at midday, 3 before sleep. The merchant keeps the skins locked,
the keys tied to his belt. The guards drink more than the porters, and no one speaks about it. By the 5th day, the sand begins to move, not just under your feet, but in waves that shimmer across the ground, shifting the path behind you until the trail is gone. The air tastes of metal. You learn to breathe through cloth, to keep your eyes half closed, to walk with your head down. At night, the cold cuts deep. You wrap yourself in your cloak, teeth chattering, staring at the stars so sharp they seem to pierce the sky. The merchant says nothing about the old river. The others no longer ask. On the 7th day, one of the porters collapses. He doesn't rise. The guards strip his pack, divide the load, and move on. His body is left where it fell, half covered by drifting sand before you lose sight of it. That night, the wind carries a new smell, faint, damp, impossible. You think at first it's your mind playing tricks, but the merchant's eyes gleam when he catches it too. Somewhere ahead, hidden in the endless sand, water waits, if you can reach it before the desert takes you. At dawn, the sand changes color. It darkens grain by grain until the pale gold gives way to a deep, earthy brown. The air feels heavier, cooler. You hear it before you see it, a low, constant murmur like wind through reeds, but thicker, wetter. Then the land dips, and there it is, a ribbon of water, wide enough to carry boats, running slow and smooth between banks of green. Grass sways in the breeze. Clusters of palms throw shadows across the ground. Birds scatter at your approach, flashing white wings in the sunlight. It feels wrong. The desert stretches for days in every direction, yet here is a river as if carved from another world. No dry season has touched it. No dust drifts on its surface. The smell is rich, sweet, almost intoxicating after so many days of heat and grit. The merchant wastes no time. The guards fill the bottom. But as you drink, you notice something. The river makes no sound of feeding from streams or springs. No tributaries cut into its banks. It simply flows, full and steady from the south, and disappears into the sand to the north, vanishing without a delta, without a trace. That night, the camp is full of laughter for the first time in weeks. Fires burn high. The merchant walks the perimeter, running his fingers over the water skins as if they were coins. You cannot sleep. The river's voice fills your ears, that same low murmur, too steady, too even. And then, in the moonlight, you see movement beneath the surface. Shapes gliding just below the pebbles. Not fish. Not anything you've seen. Long and pale, with a slow, twisting motion, like they are listening. By morning, the merchant orders the camp broken. "We leave at once," he says, his voice tight. The laughter is gone. No one asks why. You fill your skin, knowing you will drink this water for days, and wondering what, in turn, might be drinking you. The journey back feels shorter, but heavier. The skins dig into your shoulders, their weight almost a comfort after weeks of measuring every swallow. The guards walk faster now, no longer scanning the horizon for water, but for people who might take it. On the 5th day, you crest a ridge and see the border town. It looks smaller somehow, as if the drought has shrunk it. Roofs sag, dust swirls through empty streets. Even from here, you can tell the market is thin. No bright cloth hanging from stalls, no carts lined up at the gate. When the caravan enters, the air changes. Faces turn. Conversations stop. Eyes lock on the bulging skins slung across your backs. It's not curiosity. It's hunger in a form you've never seen. The merchant wastes no time. He drives the camels straight to a walled courtyard, guards blocking the gate while the skins are counted and sealed away. Within an hour, word spreads. Water has come. The market comes alive, but not with the usual noise. People gather in tight knots, speaking in low voices. Prices shift like sand, a handful of grain for a mouthful of water, a worked blade for a jar. Those who can't pay watch from doorways, eyes flat and hard. Fights break out by evening. A man accuses a vendor of selling river water that's been mixed with well sludge. Another swears his coin was taken, but his jar filled with nothing. The guards drag both away, but the crowd doesn't disperse. That night, the merchant calls you aside. He presses a small skin into your hands, more water than you've held in months, and tells you to keep it hidden. Tomorrow, he says, it will be worth more than silver. You leave the courtyard and see the town under moonlight. No music from the taverns, no laughter from the upper rooms, just the slow, steady drip of water from a broken jar somewhere in the dark.
River runs dry again. The night is still when it begins. No wind, no voices, just the distant creak of a shutter swinging on its hinge. You're half asleep in your rented room above the wine shop when you hear it. The faint clink of metal against stone, too deliberate to be the sound of the street settling. You slip to the window. Down the alley, 5 figures move in silence. Faces wrapped, feet bare. They keep low, sliding from shadow to shadow, heading toward the walled courtyard where the caravan's water is stored. You know the merchant keeps guards there, but water now is worth killing for. They reach the gate. One produces a hook and rope, another a bundle of rags to muffle the sound as the iron scrapes against wood. 2 climb, their silhouettes sharp against the pale sky, and vanish over the wall. The others wait, tense. Minutes pass. A dull thump breaks the stillness, then a muffled cry cut short. One of the waiting figures shifts as if to run, but freezes when a shape appears on the wall. Not their friends. The guard's voice cuts through the night, shouting for the others. More men appear with torches, their light spilling across the alley. The thieves try to scatter, but the guards are faster. Bronze flashes. The air fills with the wet sound of blades finding flesh. By the time you reach the street, it's over. 2 thieves lie still. Another writhes in the dirt with a broken leg. The last is dragged by the arms toward the courtyard, his feet leaving 2 dark lines in the dust. The guards don't shout or boast. They just work quickly, pulling the bodies to the side, rinsing the blood from the gate with the very water the thieves came to steal. In the morning, the market whispers. No one speaks the thieves' names. No one asks where the survivors went, but people glance at the courtyard more often, measuring its walls with their eyes. You realize the guards can't watch every angle, every hour. And hunger is patient. Thirst, even more so. By the next market day, water has become the only currency that matters. The merchant no longer trades in coin, only in what he calls equal worth. For a single jar, he takes a good cloak, a bronze blade, a pouch of grain that once could have fed a family for a week. Soon, people run out of goods. Then the trades grow stranger. A man offers his daughter's hand for marriage in exchange for 2 days' water. A shepherd parts with his last 3 goats, knowing they will die of thirst anyway. A mother kneels in the dust holding out the small gold amulet she's worn since she was a child. The merchant takes all of it. But there are those who have nothing left to trade. For them, the price is their labor, or their blood. A group of men spend the day carrying heavy jars to the outer farms under the guard's watch, allowed only to drink from the muddy troughs meant for animals. Another sells his own blood to a healer, the payment a single skin of water. By midday, you see the toll it takes. People stumble in the streets, lips cracked, eyes glazed. The taverns are empty. The wine does nothing for thirst. Even the brothels are silent. No one has the strength. The worst comes at dusk. A woman in the square offers herself to a trader for 1 mouthful from his jar. He refuses at first, then changes his mind, but pours the water slowly, making her drink it kneeling in front of him while the crowd watches in silence. No one intervenes. That night, you sit in your room with your small, hidden skin from the merchant, turning it in your hands. You could sell it, trade it, give it away. You could keep it and wait for the next desperate day, but
the truth presses in on you. In this place, a mouthful of water is no longer just life, it's power. And power is never given freely. It begins with shouting at the courtyard gate. Two farmers from the outer lands arrive at dawn leading donkeys loaded with sacks of millet. They demand 3 skins of water for their grain, the same trade they made last season. The merchant laughs in their faces and offers half a skin. The argument swells. Neighbors join in, some shouting at the merchant, others at the farmers. The guards try to push the crowd back, but the press of bodies is too tight. Then someone throws a stone. It hits a guard's helmet with a hollow clang, and for a moment, the world holds its breath. Then the guards rush forward with clubs, swinging without aim. The crowd surges, not away, but inward. Hands grab at the gate, pulling at the bars. One guard is dragged down, his club vanishing into the crush. The merchant shouts for order, but no one listens. The shouting turns to screaming. A jar of water shatters on the ground, its contents vanishing into the dust in seconds. The sight only drives the crowd wilder. You see a boy dart through the chaos, slip into the courtyard and vanish behind a stack of crates. Others follow until the guards are overwhelmed. The gate breaks inward. The mob spills through like water from a burst skin. Inside, the air is filled with the sound of splintering wood as crates are smashed open. Water skins are ripped apart in the frenzy, their contents gulped down or poured into any vessel at hand. Some drink until they vomit, then drink again. The merchant is nowhere to be seen. His guards scatter, some joining the crowd, others fleeing into the streets. By midday, the courtyard is empty. The ground is soaked, mud thick between the stones. The only water left is what clings to your boots. That night, the market is silent. Doors stay barred, torches burn low. Everyone knows the riot will bring punishment, though no one can say from where or from whom. But for a few hours, the thirst was gone, and that was enough to risk everything. They come at sunrise. The first sign is the dust, a long, low cloud creeping down the slope from the eastern hills. Then the sound, the steady rhythm of hooves and boots, the metallic each step. By the time the riders appear, the market is already empty. Doors shut, shutters barred, streets silent but for the echo of their approach. There are 24 of them, maybe more. Faces hidden under cloth and leather, shields painted with a black crescent. Their leader rides at the front on a pale horse, a spear in his hand and a chain of silver coins hanging from his neck. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The riders dismount at the courtyard gate, the same gate the mob broke yesterday. One looks inside, then shakes his head. The leader gives a small nod, and the killing begins. They go door to door, pulling people into the street. No questions. If they find water skins, the owners are cut down. If they find nothing, sometimes the blade still falls. A woman tries to run. An arrow catches her on the back before she reaches the next alley. You watch from the narrow gap of a boarded window in the wine shop. The owner crouches beside you, whispering prayers under his breath. You can feel his breath shaking against your arm. The riders work quickly, methodically. This is not a raid for loot. It's a message. By mid-morning, bodies hang from the wooden beams of the market square, water skins tied around their necks like a warning. The leader mounts his pale horse again, surveys the silent town, then turns back toward the hills. The dust swallows them just as it brought them. Only then do the doors open. People emerge slowly, eyes low, stepping around the blood that pools in the dust. No one speaks of the riot, no one speaks at all. You still have your hidden skin from the merchant, but now it feels heavier than before. Not because of its weight, because of the eyes it might draw if anyone knew. In this place, thirst can kill, but so can being seen with the cure. You see him in the market 3 days after the riders leave. The black-cloaked merchant, thinner now, his fine boots cracked, his face drawn tight as old leather. He's sitting alone at a table that used to groan under goods, now bare except for a single folded cloth and a clay jug. When he spots you, he gestures sharply. You almost ignore him, but something in his eyes stops you. The same sharp glint you saw before the cursed caravan, before the desert river. "I'm leaving," he says without greeting. His voice is hoarse, the words scrying on north, beyond the dry lands, beyond the hills. "I won't come back." You ask why. He leans forward. "Because the river will not last." He tells you he's seen it before, a place that seems eternal, then gone without warning. A shift in the sand, a new wind, and the water disappears as if it never was. He says the flow has already slowed, the surface already warmer. Then he makes his offer. He still has 2 skins of that river water hidden outside the town. One he will keep for himself. The other will be yours. North means crossing the rider's territory. It means days without shelter, no market walls, no friendly stalls. It means leaving behind whatever safety the border town still offers. But if he's right, and the river dies, that skin will be worth more than gold anywhere you go. Enough to buy a passage on a ship, land in a new city, maybe even start again far from thirst and dust. He watches you in silence, waiting. The folded cloth on the table shifts slightly in the wind. You realize it hides a small dagger, just in case the bargain goes bad. Outside, the air smells of dust and smoke. Somewhere in the square, a fight breaks out over a jar of brackish well water. The choice is yours. Stay in the town that's slowly dying or gamble everything on the road. You leave at first light. No farewell, no glance back at the border town, only the crunch of dry earth beneath your boots and the creak of the merchant's loaded mule. He keeps the 2 hidden skins strapped tight beneath a bundle of cloth and rope, their shape disguised. The land north is wide and bare, a mix of cracked flats and low rolling rises. The wind comes cold from the hills, carrying the faint smell of wood smoke. Every now and then you see it, a thin line of dust far on the horizon, drifting like a finger across the sky. Sometimes it fades, sometimes it grows. You avoid the main track, cutting across broken ground where the mule struggles and your feet ache from the stones. It's slower, but the merchant says it's safer. The riders patrol the open roads. On the second day, you find what's left of another caravan. 3 wagons burned to their frames, bodies lying where they fell, mouths blackened with ash. The merchant doesn't stop. He doesn't have to tell you why. Scavengers might still be close, and not all of them ride horses. Nights are colder here. You keep the fire small, feeding it only dry grass and twigs, never enough to be seen from a distance. The merchant sleeps light, his hand always near the short blade at his side. You do the same. On the 4th morning, you crest a rise and freeze. Below, a group of riders moves along the valley floor, not many, maybe 8, but close enough to see the black crescents on their shields. Their horses pick through the scrub, heads low, as if sniffing for a scent. The merchant signals you down, and the 2 of you crawl behind a ridge. You wait, breath held, while the riders pause near the path you would have taken had you stayed on open ground. One looks up, scanning the slope. You feel his gaze pass over you like the edge of a blade. Then they move on, their dust trailing into the wind. The merchant exhales, mutters something in a language you don't know, and starts walking again. "We'll need to move at night," he says. You realize then that the road north is not about speed. It's about staying unseen long enough to live. The pass is a scar in the hills, a narrow cut of stone with a wind thing. The ground underfoot is loose scree, the walls rising so high that sunlight barely reaches the floor. It should feel safe, hidden from the open plains, but every step tightens your chest. The walls make escape impossible. If someone is ahead or behind, there's nowhere to run. Halfway through, you smell it. Smoke. Not the faint trace of a distant cooking fire, but thick, oily smoke curling down the pass toward you. The merchant freezes, eyes darting up the rock face. Then you hear them. Hoofbeats, muffled but closing in. The riders appear at the far end, silhouettes black against the pale sky. 5 of them, shields marked with the same black crescent you've learned to fear. One carries a torch already lit, the flame guttering in the wind. Another has a bow in hand, an arrow resting easy against the string. Behind you, more hoofbeats. 2 riders block the way you came. The leader in front speaks, not loud, not angry, just certain. You don't understand the words, but the merchant does. His shoulders stiffen. Without looking at you, he whispers, "They want the skins. If we give them, we live." You glance at the mule. The bundles look harmless, but both of you know what's inside. That water could buy safety in the north, a new life far from thirst. Give it up now and you've crossed the rider's land for nothing. The merchant's hand trembles on the knot of the lead rope. The riders watch, patient. One lowers the torch toward a pile of dry grass at his horse's feet. Even here, in the wind, fire would spread fast along the narrow pass, and you'd be trapped in it. You weigh the choices in your head, every heartbeat louder than the wind. Fight and risk dying in the smoke and stone. Surrender and walk away with nothing but the clothes on your back. The merchant finally looks at you. His eyes say he will follow your lead, and the riders wait, their black crescents unmoving in the flicker of the torchlight. You don't answer the merchant with words. Your hand moves to the knife at your belt the same way a thirsty man moves to a jar. The merchant's eyes widen, but he nods, a quick, sharp nod that says he understands the road you've chosen. The riders are still patient, still certain. That's their mistake. You grab the lead rope and yank the mule sideways, forcing it against the wall of the pass. The nearest rider doesn't expect you to move toward him. You throw the knife, not at him, but at his horse. The animal rears, screaming, and in that heartbeat of chaos, you're moving. The merchant shouts and pulls a hidden blade from his bundle. The mule kicks, scattering one of the rear riders. The narrow pass turns the fight into a funnel. No room to circle, no room to flee. You get in close before the bowman can draw. The blade finds his side deep and he folds without a sound. Another rider swings his spear, the bronze tip catching your shoulder, hot pain flooding down your arm. You grab the shaft, wrench it sideways, and the 2 of you crash into the rock wall. The torchbearer tries to light the grass at his feet, but the merchant slams into him, knocking the flame into the dirt. The wind snuffs it out. The 2 men grapple, grunting, until the merchant's blade flashes and the rider goes limp. It's not clean. It's not heroic. It's sand and sweat and the sound of boots sliding on loose stone. One rider flees, disappearing into the far mouth of the pass. Another lies coughing blood into the dust. When it's over, the smell of iron and smoke hangs in the air. The mule trembles, eyes rolling white. The merchant wipes his blade on a dead man's cloak, his breath ragged. You've kept the water, but the blood on the stones feels heavier than the skins on your back. Somewhere in the distance, you hear a horn, long, low, and moving closer. The horn sounds again, closer this time, sharper, like it's cutting through the rock. The merchant's head snaps toward the northern mouth of the pass. "Move," he says, already pulling the mule into a stumbling run. You don't need telling twice. The scree underfoot slides with every step, threatening to send you tumbling. Behind you, the echo of hooves grows louder, joined now by the harsh clatter of armor. The fleeing rider must have carried word, and the rest are coming. The pass twists, a narrow ribbon between walls that seem to lean inward. You can't see far ahead, but you can feel the air changing, colder, fresher. And you pray it means the hills are about to break. A shout bounces off the stone. An arrow snaps against the wall beside your head, spraying grit into your eyes. You duck low and push harder, legs burning. The mule's breathing is ragged foam at the corners of its mouth, but it keeps moving. The merchant glances back. "If they catch us here, we're finished." You don't need to be told why. In this narrow cut, a single rider could block the way while the rest cut you down. The skins, the fight in the pass, all of it would end in minutes. The mouth of the pass appears ahead, a thin slash of daylight widening with every step. But the horn sounds again, so close now you can feel it in your ribs. The merchant shoves something into your hand without looking, a small clay jar sealed with pitch. "If they get too close, smash it behind us," he says. "And don't breathe the smoke." You don't ask what's inside. There's no time. The daylight explodes into full view as you burst from the pass onto open ground. Wind hits your face, carrying the scent of pine and something else. Wet earth. The northern hills rise ahead, green and sharp against the sky. Safety might be there. Or just another trap. Behind, the hooves pound closer and you still hold the jar. The jar feels heavier than it should, warm against your palm. The merchant doesn't look back, but you can see the tension in his shoulders. He's waiting for you to decide, to save the water by sacrificing whatever's inside this thing, or to risk it all in a straight run. The hooves are almost on you. You can hear the rider's breathing now, the clink of harness rings, the creak of bowstrings drawing. You drop to one knee, slam the jar against a stone. It bursts with a sound like wet wood splitting. Thick, black smoke gushes out, heavier than air, crawling along the ground and then rising in a twisting column. The wind catches it, shoving it down the pass toward the riders. Almost immediately, the shouts begin, sharp, panicked. Horses scream, their hooves striking stone in frantic bursts. The smoke wraps around them, swallowing their shapes until you see nothing but a shifting black wall. The merchant doesn't slow until you've crossed two ridges. Only then does he stop, clutching his knees, eyes darting to the south. The smoke is still visible, a dark bruise in the air above the pass. What was it, you ask? Oil and resin, but the smoke. He cuts himself off, shaking his head. It's not meant for breathing. You understand what he's not saying. Whatever was in that jar won't just choke a man. It will mark him. The smell will cling, the taste will burn into the back of the throat. Even hours later, anyone who inhales it will be weak, eyes streaming, lungs raw. You wonder if the riders will follow tomorrow or the next day. You wonder if they'll remember your faces. The hills ahead are greener now, dotted with small farms and stone houses. You can see a road winding toward what looks like a walled town, its gates open to the afternoon sun. The merchant straightens, pats the mule, and says, "We made it." But you're not sure if it is safety or just the next place where water has a price. The northern town smells of wet stone and smoke from cooking fires. Its streets are paved, its houses solid, their walls washed in lime. Rainwater runs in narrow gutters along the edges of the road, a sight so strange after months of dust that you can't stop staring. People walk unhurried, carrying clay jars sloshing with water as if it were nothing. At the gates, the guards glance at you and the merchant but ask no questions. Inside, the air is cooler, shaded by rows of poplars. You see wells in the open squares, their buckets resting full. A child splashes her hands in the overflow, laughing. It feels like another world. The merchant wastes no time finding the market. Here, stalls overflow with grain, cloth, pottery. Meat hangs in the open, fish laid on wet leaves. But water is nowhere for sale. You ask why. A stallholder shrugs. Water's free. Gold isn't. It doesn't take long to learn the rule. In this town, water flows for anyone, but the gates of trade are locked behind gold. No coin, no bargaining. No food, no shelter. No safety. Unless you can pay in river water, worth a fortune in the south, but here they may as well be filled with sand. No one will buy it. For the first time since the border town, you see him hesitate. His hands linger on the skins, and you can almost hear the weight of his thoughts. Sell them quietly to travelers for gold, or keep them for the road ahead. That night you sleep in a stable, trading a small skin of river water for the space and a bowl of stew. The owner drinks it slowly, savoring it, though you know she could walk to the nearest well and fill her jar for free. In the dark, the merchant leans close and whispers, "There's a man here who deals in things gold can't buy. If we trade the water to him, he says he can give us more gold than we've ever held." He doesn't say what the man trades in, and you're not sure you want to know. The man waits in a shuttered room above a tannery where the air stinks of hides and lye. He's dressed plainly, no gold rings, no fine cloth. but his eyes are sharp and restless, as if measuring everything you bring into the room. On the table between you lies a single coin of the town's mint, bright as fresh-forged steel in the dim light. The merchant places one of the river skins beside it. "Half of what I have," he says. The man doesn't touch the skin. "Not enough." "All of it." The merchant flinches. His hand drifts toward the bundle where the second skin waits. "That water is worth—" The man cuts him off. "Gold is worth more here, and gold is the only thing that buys passage north." He leans back, studying you both. "I can make you rich enough to live here like kings, or buy you a place on a ship that will take you beyond the drought, beyond the riders, beyond all of this. But I want every drop you brought through the pass." The merchant looks at you. This time he doesn't try to lead. The choice is yours. Give the water, and you can walk out with enough gold to start over. But the river will be gone from your hands forever. Keep it, and you'll have to leave the town the same way you came, with dust in your mouth and danger at your back. In the quiet, you hear the faint splash of water from a gutter outside, the careless sound of a place that has never known thirst. Your fingers tighten on the skin's leather strap. You place your hand on the skin, feeling the cool weight of it, the faint slosh inside. The merchant watches you without breathing. The man across the table waits, still as stone, eyes fixed on you as if he already knows what you will choose. In your mind, you see the river, dark, slow, whispering beneath the moon. You remember its impossible cold, the shapes gliding just beneath the surface. You remember the thirst in the border town, the blood in the pass, the black smoke curling over the rocks. Every drop in this skin has been paid for in fear. You set it down again, but not in front of him. You sling it over your shoulder, feeling the weight settle against your back. "Now," you say. The room is silent for a heartbeat. Then the man's smile fades and something colder replaces it. "You'll leave here with nothing." "Not nothing," you answer. "With water." You walk out into the wet streets, the sound of rain gutters spilling into stone channels. No one looks at you. No one here understands what it means to carry the last of something. The merchant catches up at the gate. He doesn't ask why you refused. He only says, "Then we keep moving." Beyond the northern hills, the road disappears into mist. Somewhere, far ahead, there may be another town, another trade, another price to pay. But you know the river will never be behind you again. You walk on anyway, because sometimes the only way to keep what's yours is to never stop carrying it.